All right, guys. So as advisors, we get this question a lot, and I think 5 years ago, 10 years ago, forever, if you knew a friend or you had a brother or a cousin or whatever, 2 or 3 years older than you that went to an SEC school or a Power Four school, and you have similar metrics, you're a very similar type player, and you're thinking, you know what, I probably can get to a school of that level. Like I said, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, really, that was probably the case. But with how much, again, with the roster size changes, with how much every school is diving into the portal now, it's just not the case anymore. I mean, things have changed in a major way. And, so let's go over a few kind of scenarios. Let's say your cousin is a right-handed pitcher who is, let's say, command's okay, he's topping 91, but he generally sits about 87, 88. Okay command, okay breaking ball. Okay stuff. Okay. So 3 years ago, he commits to a Power 4 school or something like that. Well, let's look at what's different from 3 years ago when this guy committed to a Power 4 school versus now. So 3 years ago, portal really wasn't a thing. Portal's been around for about 3 years, but especially that first year, not many schools were really just going all in it because there weren't enough results out there to see if, man, we should really just commit fully to this, or let's test the waters, bring in a few guys and see how it works. So there was a lot more spots going to high school players. So this is a high school pitcher. Command's not great, but he's top of 91. There was 40 roster spots instead of 34 now. So the reality, guys, is this guy, again, like I said, okay stuff, okay command. This is not an elite right-handed pitcher just because he throws 91. And especially at the Power 4 level, I mean, that's kind of the bare minimum they're looking for out of a right-handed pitcher, at least that he's touching 91, 92. Now, again, there's all kinds of variables. We went over that in the video yesterday, especially with pitching. You got elite command and you're in the high 80s and you can really spin it, you're gonna have a shot. But again, your generic right-handed arm who's got okay command and he's topping 91, 90, and his stuff's okay, doesn't have an elite breaking ball or changeup, this guy is not going to the Power 4 anymore. Okay, so your cousin, just because you're about the same as this guy, doesn't mean you can get to the same school. It doesn't mean you want to get to the same school at this point. Let's say you do get an offer from a Power 4 school with this kind of stuff and this overall kind of makeup for a right-handed pitcher. The reality is it's going to be very tough for you to get on the field as a freshman and get a lot of innings. And if you go in there and walk the house once or twice, you're getting like 3 innings the whole year. Guys, I want to preach to this and make sure you guys are listening, especially for your pitchers out there. College baseball, especially at the high level, those first couple outings you get as a freshman are a lot of times going to determine your whole career at that school. Because I played with so many guys and coached so many guys that were freshmen that came in, walked the house the first time, second time got hit around, lit up, maybe got a third opportunity, didn't do great again. You're kind of the last guy on the totem pole now. I mean, it's got to be a blowout, or you're getting blown out, or they're blowing you out, and then you're going to get a shot. But then your performance doesn't really matter because there's no pressure. And so that's going to set you up for no innings as a freshman, and then your sophomore year, you got to come in and kind of prove to people that you're different than you were your freshman year when you didn't do great. So again, this scenario, you're not going there. You're not going to the school. Now what's, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier, what's somebody who maybe has something like this that would be able to get to a big school? Now let's say a right-handed pitcher again who's topping, let's say it's topping 90, who's same thing, sits 87, 88, high level command, and he's got elite spin. So he's got that, four-seam ride. He's got hammer breaking ball, really good command. This guy has a better chance of getting to a Power 4 now than a kid with this overall stuff. Because again, you got to look at, it's not just about the metrics. There's, you can have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, but if you got that high spin rate ride four seam, it plays like it's 94, 95. So it's not about the velocity, it's about how does it play and how does it look to the hitter's eyes. He's got high level command, so he's not gonna walk a lot of guys, he's not gonna give up a lot of free bases, and he's got great spin, so he's gonna be able to strike guys out, he's gonna be able to miss bats. The guy with okay stuff, even though he throws harder, he's not going to miss as many bats. So again, guys, metrics are great, but you have to look at what a coach is seeing, what metrics really are the most important. Now, if this guy's throwing 85 tops with really good spin rate, he's not getting recruited. Because then it's going to play like it's 90 or play like it's 88. But if he's topping 90 or 91 or whatever, this guy is way more recruitable than this guy up here. Because this guy's just your run-of-the-mill right-handed arm at the Division I level, really. Not, your run-of-the-mill Division I guy at the Power 4 level is going to be better than this. He's got to have something that sticks out. And that's really the key, guys, is as a pitcher, and we'll go over position players in a second, but as a pitcher, you really have to have a pitch or your command or your spin that really sticks out now. It's not just about, well, he throws 92. If it's got average spin rate, you don't throw strikes that well, and the spin rate on your off speed, you don't really have a standout off speed pitch, no one's going to want you. I mean, you got to command 2 pitches for strikes minimum, unless you got like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But you got to have those pitches there has to be a separator with some of those pitches. Spin rate, movement. If you're a guy with sinker and you got just a nasty sink on it, again, that's a separator. So I hope this explains from the pitching angle how things have changed. Schools are just way more selective now. They're not, even before the roster size changed, they were recruiting like half the amount of high schoolers. Now you lose 6 roster spots, that's going to be even less. They can just get the top guys, and the top guys now are going to be spread out all over the Power 4 and even the really good mid-majors, because you can't recruit that many high school guys now. Your best schools are going to go after the elite portal guys and the elite high schoolers, not just the elite high schoolers. So spots are going away in recruiting. Okay, so position player, let's just go with, and let's use myself. So I was center fielder, 6'4", 60, 153 pounds, 5'9", good bat, like elite bat to ball. Okay. Hope you guys can read that. My handwriting is not good. But I tell guys I meet with all the time this. We talk about this in our team meetings all the time. I ended up going to Georgia Tech when when I committed that summer. They were the number 1, number 2 team in the country in summer of 2009. I committed to Georgia Tech. I had a couple other offers from SEC schools that were bottom of the barrel at that time. Now they're both really good. I'm sure you can probably guess, especially with one of them. And the reason I chose Georgia Tech over those two, because you would think, the bottom of the barrel SEC schools, you're going to be able to get on the field faster. Well, both coaches were kind of on the outs, so you weren't sure if you got to campus you were going to have the same coach. Both schools had some guys that were going to be there in the outfield already for another year or two. Georgia Tech, all 3 guys, when I stepped on campus, were going to be gone in the outfield. So I knew I had 3 spots to compete for. Now, again, I tell guys all the time, if I was getting recruited out of high school in this era, I probably don't make it to Georgia Tech. I mean, there's no way to be sure of that, but every recruiting class rankings thing at the time, we were like the number 3, number 2 recruiting class in the country. We had 22 guys in our recruiting class. Never going to see that again. And I was probably number 20 or 21. I mean, I was not the highly rated guy coming in. And out of all the outfielders in our recruiting class, I was the lowest ranked. And I ended up starting, but again, it's about, are there enough spots for them to even add a guy like me anymore? The answer is no. Now, let's say, what would I have to look like to get to Georgia Tech now? I would have to be, let's say similar speed, right? 6'4", 6'5", whatever. Enough speed to play center field. I probably would need to be 100, at least minimum. Let's see here, minimum 100, and let's go 75 pounds. 5'10", 5'9", whatever, same thing. and then with the elite bat to ball. Because this is the difference, guys, is now with the portal, you don't have to wait for that freshman to kind of put on weight and put on your strength when he gets to campus. And physicality does kind of tend to lead to, okay, this guy's going to be durable over a season. His body's not going to break down on him. That did happen to me my freshman year. I mean, I dropped like 30 batting average points in the last, with the ACC tournament and the regional, because I had no weight. I was losing weight and I didn't have weight to lose. So again, I was not a power hitter. And I think everyone's like, we got to be 200 pounds or this or that for Power 4 schools. No, it just depends on what type of player you are. If you're a guy if you're not a speed guy, you're not an elite speed guy that can really, lead off type hitter, sure, you probably want to be more physical, you want to get as close to 200 pounds as you can because you want to be able to hit the ball out of the park, especially with how the ball flies now. I mean, teams want their middle of the order hitters, 4 or 5 at least hitters in their lineup. They're guys that can put the ball out 10 plus times a year, minimum. Your leadoff hitter, your 2-hole guy doesn't really need to be the case. You want guys that can get on base in front of those guys. So a guy like me doesn't need to be 200 pounds. I would, even at my heaviest weight, it's like 185, 190. I mean, there's 200 pounds would be like, probably I'd be losing speed at that point because my frame just can't hold that kind of weight. But a guy like me this is the difference. I'm probably going to a good mid-major, which is fine, and I'm probably getting a chance to play right away, but I'm not going to start out at Georgia Tech. And maybe I love where I go. I stay there for 4 years, or maybe I go to the portal. But that's the difference, guys. And for position players and for pitchers, and these are just one example. Again, we talked about it yesterday in the video. There's a lot of variables in this stuff. I mean, again, you may say, well, yeah, I know a guy who was throwing 88, and he's a right-handed pitcher, and he's at University of Florida, and he throws from like sidearm angle, and he has a nasty sweeping slider and a hammer sinker, and it's like, okay, it's not the same thing. You know what I was saying. But remember, the number one key to this point, guys, just because you know a kid a couple years older than you, your brother, whatever, that you're similarly talented to, doesn't mean you're going to get to the same level of school, and that's fine. The most important thing, like we always talk about, get to the school where you're going to get a chance to play right away as a freshman, and now you have all kinds of opportunities to transfer, maybe get to your dream school if you want to, or you love the school, those coaches were loyal to you, offered you stay loyal to them. Whatever you decide, you have a lot of options available now. Hope this helps, guys. Any comments, any questions, make sure you let me know. We do have memberships up now on the channel. Going to do a lot of cool things with all of our members, so look into that if you're interested. We'll be talking a little bit more about that, but appreciate all your support, and we'll be back with other videos tomorrow.